ladies, I am back today to talk to you about how to help your child stand up to peer pressure. Now, I really am excited to talk about this because these are things that I've done with my own boys that I know will help you with your kids. And I think the first thing that we need to realize is that peer pressure is always going to be there. It's always going to be a part of your child's life, even into adulthood. And going to like a public school or being in the community isn't the only place where this happens. So it's really not something that we can avoid for our kids. We just have to help them to know how to stand up from under it. And today I'm going to talk to you about how to prep your kids before they experience peer pressure. I'm going to talk to you about how to support them while they're experiencing peer pressure, and then how to encourage them and celebrate with them after the fact. So let's just jump right in and let's talk about how to prep your kids. Whenever I start off a new school year with my kids, I always try to tell them that there's a difference between being kind to every person and being best friends with every person. So you always have to be kind to everyone, doesn't matter who, but you can choose your best friends wisely, because the people that you end up spending your time with are going to be the people that you become most like. And this is a struggle that kids have all the time. They want to be liked, they want to be kind, they end up making friends maybe with the wrong crowd, and then they are experiencing pressure all the time because of the people that they've chosen to spend time with. Now, that is really a good distinction to make with your kids, to say, look, you can be kind to everyone, but you have to choose your best friends wisely. Next, start praying with your kids on their way to school. Let them understand that they have God's power, they have the truth that's in His Word to help them live out their everyday lives. This is a quote that I love by Beth Moore, and if you've heard me at all, you know that I share this over and over, but I talk about how what Beth Moore says is that God's Word has the power to transform your life, but it also has the power to transform your day. And sometimes we forget the day part. We forget that God's Word has the power to completely transform our life right now. Not just this future idea of what our life is going to be, but our day today. And the same is true for our kids. So we can pray with them while you're in the car. I think that's a great time to start to role play situations. So if a kid gets in trouble at school and they tell you about it, you can role play with them on how to help that not happen to them. So if there's a kid that is acting up and they get in trouble, this is something that you can role play a situation and help your kids to know how to stand up to that peer pressure and not have that experience of getting in trouble, having to sit in timeout or whatever discipline that there is. Another thing that I like to tell my kids, and this is something that I have shared whenever I experience a negative peer pressure in my life as an adult, I tell them that I always say you plus Jesus equals the majority. This is something that I learned from an Adventures in Odyssey episode. They are audio programs made for kids by Focus on the Family. But one of the episodes, the kids were told you plus Jesus is always the majority. And so that is something that I have always tried to teach my kids, to let them know if it's you and Jesus, then you're already good to go. If it's you plus Jesus, you're always bigger than all the other voices if it's you plus Jesus. So make sure that you let your kids know that. And then I think something that's really important in order to prep your kids ahead of time is to let them know they can always come to you. Sometimes as parents, we can begin to overreact, and we hear about situations that are happening at school and we overreact, and what that does is it causes our kids not to want to come to us again. So if you can, try not to let any surprise show up on your face. Let your kids know that it's okay to come and talk to you, that if they have a question or a concern, or if they're experiencing a problem with a kid at school, that they are not going to get in trouble by coming and talking to you about it. Those are all ways to prep kids before they experience that peer pressure. Now, if you have a child who is right in the middle of a bunch of peer pressure, here are a couple ways that you can support them while they're in the middle of all this peer pressure. Again, don't be surprised whenever they bring you their problems, because when they come to you and you've already let them know in the prep stage, you've let them know, look, it's okay to come to me. Once they do come to you, don't act surprised. Don't feel like you're going to overreact. Just try to hide your face, hide all your emotions, and let them talk to you about their concerns, because it could be that something's going on in their life. They know it's not right. Maybe there's kids that are trying to influence them and they don't want to do the wrong thing. They want to do the right thing and they're coming to you. But if we right away jump on them and say, that's not right, or I need to talk to the principal, or whatever we might overreact with, then they're not going to come to us again. So don't be surprised whenever they bring you their problems. Second, let them speak. If they come to their own solutions on their own, they're more likely to follow them. So this is something that is really big, I think, that I really try to work with our own kids, is if they come up with a solution, if they think that that solution is their idea, they're going to be more likely to follow it. And you can gently guide the conversation to that solution, but if you can be kind of sneaky and let them believe that they're the one that came up with the solution. You can ask questions, things like, how did you feel about that? Or, things like that. You can help lead them to the right place, to the right solution. They're going to be way more likely to follow their own suggestions than your suggestions. That's just human nature. So another thing that I like to tell my kids when they're in the midst of peer pressure is I always ask them, would you rather please God or please other people? Would you rather follow God or follow other people? Because at their heart, you've been raising these kids, you teach them about God's word, and in their hearts, they want to do the right thing. They want to please God. But sometimes it's the choice of one or the other, and they don't realize that the choice that they're making to maybe go along with this peer pressure is directly in competition with following the Lord. And so if you let them know, look, these are your two choices, it becomes a lot easier for them to say, no, I want to do the right thing. And always remember that God sees your heart. There are going to be times whenever other people are trying to influence you negatively, and know that God sees your heart. He sees that your kids want to do the right thing. He sees that they are struggling with this peer pressure, and just lift your kids up in prayer while they're in the middle of peer pressure. When they succumb to peer pressure, and I say when and not if, because it's going to happen, you need to encourage them. So it's going to happen. That's just how things go. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. And don't expect so much out of your kids that they're bound to fail. So if they're really just experiencing a lot of peer pressure, make sure that you are there encouraging them, even if they fall. Help them see what happened wrong so that they can do something different. And I would definitely say to share your own failures and how you wish that you've done it differently, because what that does is it builds another tie of communication between you and your child. So you've already let them know, hey, look, it's okay to come to me to talk about your problems. You aren't surprised whenever they come and talk to you about them, and you don't overreact to them. But you also, as you're not expecting them so much out of them that they're going to fail, you let them know, look, this same thing has happened to me. I failed before. I really regretted it, and this is what I did to fix it in the future. So you're letting them know that you're not perfect either, and that they can come to you for advice. If they think that their parent is just perfect and never has done anything wrong, then they're not going to want to come to you whenever they do something wrong. So let them know. Share your experiences, share your own failures, and then show them either what you did to correct it or what you wish you had done to correct it. Now, when your kids stand up to peer pressure, you have to celebrate it with them. You have to make a big deal about it. Whenever I remember there was a small incident that happened with my son in kindergarten, and he was kind of buddies with some kids that weren't really acting the best. I mean, how bad could they be in kindergarten? But they they were always talking back to the teacher and not following the rules. And we had this conversation. He told me about what was going on, and asked him what he thought that he should do. And he thought of another person to be a friend with, and now they're buddies. And a couple of weeks later, the two kids that he had decided that he was going to be nice to them, but he wasn't going to really spend too much time with them. Now, this is 5 years old, remember. They were in art, and those two kids were throwing paint and got in trouble. And I asked my son, well, did you get in trouble? And he said, no, Mom, because I'm nice to them, but I'm not best friends with them. They can learn this, as small as 5 years old, kindergarten. And so we made a big deal about it. We celebrated with him. We explained how happy we were that he made the right choice. And the next thing that you can do whenever a child stands up to peer pressure is to remind them that not all peer pressure is bad. Help them see how they can influence other people and they can be the peer pressure for other kids. So in an instance where we were just talking about with the paint, your child could be the one to say, guys, let's not throw the paint. Let's work on our projects. That's a positive form of peer pressure that your child can now become a leader around with the kids around them. Another thing that you can do is praise them for setting a good example. Tell them that they are a leader, that they are setting an example for other kids. And whenever you do that, whenever you let them kind of own it and have that responsibility, they begin to really stand up and show how they can be a leader, because every kid wants to be a leader. And if you've ever had more than one kid, you know that being a line leader, even if it's just to the front door, is such a big deal. They want to be leaders. They want to influence other kids. And so whenever you show them that they can do that by setting a good example, they're going to be even more prone to making those better decisions in the future. So I just want to make sure that you guys know that I am all about helping you help your child to grow closer to the Lord. Part of that is knowing this moral side of things and knowing how to stand up to peer pressure. But I also wanted to tell you about these verse cards that I created for your child. It's a free printable. I'm going to leave a link for you so you can just grab it up and download it right away. And I think I've seen moms use this in a couple of different ways. First, they use them kind of like flashcards, but I've also seen them print the printable off twice and use them for matching. Kids love those matching games, and really just to start putting God's word into the heart of your kids, because at the heart of everything, peer pressure is always going to be there, but God is always going to be there with your child. God is already there. He has already seen the future for your child, and he sees the victory that they can have whenever they have the power of his word deep in their hearts. So make sure that that is something that you give them. Like I said, I'll leave a link below this video so that you can grab that. And I hope that you guys have a great rest of your week. I just really pray that you're able to teach your kids how to love the Lord, how to grow in their relationship with him, and really experience him in a way that they never have before. So I hope that you guys have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.